Have you ever wondered what makes a prison one of the most dangerous in the world? Let's take a step into the shadows and unravel the chilling elements that forge these perilous institutions. Picture a world where high levels of violence are the norm, where extreme isolation is used as a tool of control, and where harsh conditions push the limits of human endurance. Imagine the infamous personalities that roam these concrete jungles, the notorious inmates whose names send shivers down the spine. These are the environments that breed danger, the battlegrounds where survival becomes the only form of victory. But it's not all about the menace that lurks within. It's also about the societal impact of these institutions, the ripple effects that touch lives beyond the prison walls. It's about the balance between punishment and reform, between security and humanity. Now let's delve into the dark history of these formidable institutions. The history of these prisons is as chilling as the crimes committed by their inmates. When we delve into the annals of the world's most dangerous prisons, we find stories of terror and survival that echo through time. Take, for instance, Alcatraz, an island prison off the coast of San Francisco. Built in the late 19th century, it was deemed necessary due to the rise of crime during the Gold Rush era. Its isolated location made it the perfect place for housing the worst of the worst. The chilling tales of attempted escapes like the Battle of Alcatraz in 1946 still resonate today. Then we have Rikers Island, a notorious detention facility in New York City. Since its inception in the 1830s, Rikers has seen its share of violence and corruption. Originally a solution to the overcrowded jails in Manhattan, it quickly became a hotbed for brutality and abuse, with incidents like the Rikers Island riots in 1971 highlighting the dire conditions within its walls. Let's not forget La Sabaneta, located in Venezuela. Established in the mid-20th century, it was a response to the country's growing crime rate. However, the prison soon became infamous for its inhumane conditions and rampant violence. Notable incidents such as the riot in 1994, where over 100 inmates lost their lives, underscore the grim reality of life in La Sabaneta. But why were these prisons considered necessary? Well, society needed a place to contain those who posed a threat to its safety and order. These prisons were built to house the most dangerous criminals, those whose crimes were so heinous that they were deemed unfit for society. However, the history of these prisons is marked by more than just their construction and the criminals they housed. It's a history of societal attitudes towards crime and punishment, of political maneuverings and public sentiment, of reform movements and resistance to change. While the past of these prisons is haunting, their present state is even more disturbing. The present state of these prisons is a testament to a system that often prioritizes punishment over rehabilitation. It's a grim picture painted by steel bars and concrete walls, where the echoes of humanity often get lost in the hustle of survival. In the heart of these prisons, the conditions are far from what many of us would consider humane. Overcrowding is a major issue, with inmates packed like sardines in a tin. This close proximity often leads to tension and violence, a daily reality for those confined within these walls. It's a grim cycle where fear begets violence and violence begets more fear. The lack of basic human rights is another glaring issue. Access to clean water, nutritious food, and adequate healthcare are often luxuries rather than the standard. This deprivation extends beyond physical needs, with mental health often taking a back seat. The psychological toll of living in such conditions is immeasurable, yet often overlooked in the pursuit of punishment. These prisons also boast unique features that contribute to their notorious reputation. Some are located in remote, harsh environments where the landscape itself is a formidable barrier to escape. Others are known for their high walls and watchtowers, a constant reminder of the control exerted over the inmates. But it's not just the physical features that make these prisons dangerous. It's the culture of violence and fear that permeates these places. A culture where the strong prey on the weak and survival often means becoming part of the problem. Yet, even in the face of such dire circumstances, there is hope for the future. It's found in the voices of those advocating for change, in the resilience of the inmates who strive for a better tomorrow, and in the potential for a system that values rehabilitation over retribution. In the end, these prisons are not just buildings of brick and mortar but living, breathing entities that reflect our society's approach to crime and punishment. The question remains, can we turn these notorious prisons from places of despair into beacons of reform? Only time will tell. Yet even in the face of such dire circumstances, there is hope for the future. The future of these prisons might not be as bleak as it seems. As we cast our gaze towards the horizon, we see glimmers of hope in the form of potential reforms. They aim to transform these notorious prisons into places of rehabilitation rather than mere punishment. In the realm of future reforms, the first and foremost objective is to reduce violence. While this might seem like an uphill battle, prison authorities worldwide are exploring innovative measures. They're considering conflict resolution programs, where inmates learn non-violent communication methods. The goal is not only to curb the immediate violence, but also to equip inmates with tools they can use once they're back in society. Improving living conditions is another key aspect of future reforms. The aim is to humanize the prison environment to make it less about punishment and more about transformation. Authorities are contemplating renovations that would allow more natural light, access to fresh air, and better sanitation. They're also looking at providing healthier meals and ensuring that the inmates have access to regular medical checkups. Perhaps the most significant reform is the shift from punishment to rehabilitation. The question that looms is, how can we turn these prisons from breeding grounds of crime into incubators of positive change? Authorities are considering educational programs, vocational training, and therapy sessions to help inmates reintegrate into society. The hope is that by providing these resources, prisons can become a stepping stone towards a better life, rather than a dead end. It's important to note that these reforms are not about being soft on crime, they're about being smart on crime. They're about recognizing that the majority of these inmates will one day be released back into society. So, the question becomes, what kind of person do we want to release back into the community? Someone who's been hardened by their time in prison, or someone who's had the chance to learn, grow, and change for the better? It remains to be seen whether these reforms will succeed in transforming these dangerous prisons. But one thing is clear. The future of these prisons, and by extension the criminal justice system, lies in our ability to balance punishment with rehabilitation. In the world's most dangerous prisons, life is far from easy. We've journeyed through the harrowing histories of these institutions from their inception to the present day. We've seen how they're marred by brutal conditions, with security measures that often teeter on the edge of humanity. We've uncovered stories that echo through the cold, unforgiving walls, stories of survival, despair, and resilience. These prisons stand as testament to the harsh realities faced by inmates every single day. But we've also explored potential future reforms, the glimmers of hope in a seemingly hopeless landscape. We've considered the possibility of a more rehabilitative approach, one that values redemption over punishment, and the positive impact such a shift could have on society. As we continue to grapple with the complexities of the criminal justice system, it's crucial to remember the human lives affected by these institutions.